All right. Hi, everyone. Good evening. So, we are here with yet another interesting discussion topic for you. So, today is World Health Day. A lot of you must be wondering, in fact, even I was wondering, why do we need to have a day dedicated to health? Health is something which is super critical. And as we know from the childhood, we've been told health is wealth. And there was this famous childhood poem that I remember: early to bed and early to rise makes a jack healthy, wealthy, and wise. Right? So health is something that we've been taught forever, that it's super critical and you have to be careful of your health and sehat ka dhyan rakho. So why do we need to have a day dedicated to it? Why not the entire year? Yeah, but this was decided to create awareness. हम सब सुनते हैं कि सेहत जरूरी है, right? But there is a big need to create awareness that how critical is it? How is it impacting the overall earth and the universe and ourselves as human beings? So health is not only about what you see outside. Health is something which transcends to many things which are inside and not visible, right? हम किसी को चलते फिरते देखते हैं तो यार ये तो बड़ा हेल्दी बंदा है, राइट? और हम किसी के बारे में सुनते हैं कि कुछ दिन पहले आई वाज नॉट वेल, बट कम ऑन, सरप्राइज्ड, यू लुक हेल्दी. What we are seeing is the outside, and that could be healthy. अपनी फिजिकल हेल्थ को चेक करने के लिए हमारे पास बहुत सारे बैरोमीटर्स हैं. You can get a scan done, you can get an x-ray done, you can go to a physician and check yourself. But what's going on in our minds? दिमाग में क्या चल रहा है? Thoughts कैसे हैं? How's your relationship? How's your emotional sense? How's your anxiety levels? Is there a barometer? Is there a way to keep a check on that? कोई तरीका है जो हम ये जान सकते हैं कि जो सामने मेरे सामने हंसता खिलखिलाता एक इंसान बैठा हुआ है जिससे मैं बातें कर रही हूँ, वो मेंटली स्ट्रांग है? उसको कोई इमोशनल डिस्ट्रेस तो नहीं है? Is there a way to check that? And if there is a way to check that, is there a way to resolve the challenges that somebody might be facing? So today, I, Monica Goel Diwan, Chief Cheering Officer of Motherhood Club, would want to welcome two of the experts in understanding of mental well-being, Rachna Bedi and Rachna Shajil, on the show to discuss with us what is it that you understand by health, overall health, what can you do about it, and how do you take care of oneself under different kinds of situations. Introducing them, Rachna Bedi is a life coach. She is a trained yoga therapist and she has multiple things to her credit. She has been practicing life coach for many, many years. Rachna Shajil is a trained psychologist. In terms of her academic, she's a philosophy honors. And along with that, she's been a psychologist and working with different kinds of people and their challenges for many, many years again. So I would want to invite them to give us a little introduction about themselves and tell us what is it that they do. So inviting Rachna Bedi. You must be thinking that two Rachnas together, and I'm sure the entire show is going to be a mess. And ladies and gentlemen, please be prepared, because when I ask one Rachna, you never know, the second Rachna might want to raise her hand and say, I'm sorry, this is a question posed to me. But so I'll try and be a little careful on that, but be prepared for the mess. So let's go for it. Rachna Bedi, let's hear you first.
Thank you, Monica, for introducing me, and thank you for making me a part of this wonderful World Health Day. And I welcome each and everyone who's logged in for this live. Thank you so much. And also a great applause to the Motherhood Club for creating such awareness for a sensitive topic like this. As Monica said, I am a life coach, and I deal into the well-being, the overall well-being. Not necessarily the mental well-being, but the overall well-being. And I primarily like to focus more on the well-being with respect to spirituality or the spiritual aspect. That's it about me.
Thank you, Rachna. Thank you so much. So let's welcome Rachna Shajil and hear from her what does she do.
Hi, my name is Rachna Shajil, beautifully described by Monica already. I'm happy to be here. And as a psychologist, our profession basically focus more on mental health. But like you said, give my perspective on as a psychologist, how do I see a healthy person? I would say being healthy is not just about uh, eating the right amount of nutrients in your diet or having a good night's sleep. Sure, it does take care of your physical body, but we need to check on mental health as well. By mental health, I mean having your thoughts, feelings, emotions all in sync. So, to be truly healthy, who is a healthy person? A healthy person is someone who's healthy from the inside and from the outside as well. So, when you're healthy, I would say you have a healthy mind, you have a healthy body, and you have the capacity to cope effectively, no matter what life throws at you. Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. I think very well said, Rachna Shajil. Uh, Well being or health is not only about physical, it is a lot about mental, right?
Yes,
HR, I am an HR professional also. So HR में एक बहुत famous uh, principle है that we go by is ask. So which is attitude, skills, and competencies. Now, skills and competencies is what you see, what you're able to experience of a person, but attitude is something that makes or breaks the person, right? So that is very, very important. Rachna Bedi, same question to you. When you say well-being, you actually mentioned that you work on overall well-being of an individual. So what does overall well-being or overall health of an individual mean to you?
Okay, so when we talk of overall well-being, to me it is basically a connect, a sync between body, mind, and soul. And this sync is not necessarily that it's automatically for a well-being. It's the sync is automatically created. Something like, if I give an example of exercising, let's say we do something, we move around, we exercise, so we're using our body, and as a result of the exercise there are some hormones secreted in the brain. So those are endorphins, those are brain feel good hormones. So by the exercise, obviously it's giving the benefit to the body also, but the mind is also getting happy hormones. So that's the connect. Similarly, how the soul comes into picture is, let's say we meditate, and
Yeah,
particularly the kind of meditation I do, I watch my breath. So what we are doing is, here we are not, here the mind is not coming into picture at all. We are just
hmm,
using our body, which is our breath, as a tool to analyze our go into our soul, to analyze, get into more self awareness level. So the body becomes a tool to, as an access, gives access to your soul.
absolutely. I think Rachna very well said. When you were talking about the soul, you reminded me of the MBA days. What we studied was Aham Brahmasmi,
Yes,
right? Everything is inside us. So if we
correct, the
can
whole universe.
understand or control what's there inside us and what's going on in our thoughts and minds, I think we can control ourselves. We can look after the
absolutely.
well-being as a person.
True.
uh, People are loving the conversation already, and thank you so much for all the listeners and viewers for liking the show. And I would appreciate in case you can come up with various questions and all basis the conversation that we'll continue. Rachna Shajil, there's a very it's a very typical thing that as soon as you hear the word psychologist, people attach a big stigma or a taboo to it, that why is somebody going to a psychologist? Is there a problem? Or the person has gone into depression, and depression is something which is it is a treatable ailment, but do we accept it as an ailment? Do we accept the fact that going to a psychologist is equal to going to a physician, right? I remember lately, I think in the newspaper, there have been cases or stories by various celebrities who said that they had to be very courageous and come out in the public stating that they were suffering with depression long time back, this, that. Why do we need courage to do that? If you could
Can
just
I
help
have?
us understand a little bit on that. Yeah.
When we say it's a courageous act that somebody has come out in open, and specifically when it relates to something to do with your mental health, it's courageous because it's still a taboo. If you look at it, it's a condition where no one can really see the condition. It won't show up on your medical report when you get your health checkup. It doesn't show that, okay, so and so person has depression or you have mood
Mm,
disorders, etc., etc. As opposed to when you have, let's say, you've broken your leg, it'll show on your fracture. If you have diabetes, it'll show your blood sugar levels going high, right?
true.
So the taboo is such that people, it's because of lack of awareness. It's mental health is something very less talked about. People are not so very well informed about it, right? They feel the social stigma attached to mental health is such that people don't really come out in open. They feel fear of getting labeled. Maybe people may call them, being crazy. She's just crazy, or maybe they fear that, maybe, oh, she's depressed. Oh, you know what? She's not depressed. It's maybe because she lacks willpower. Maybe
Yep.
someone can even say that you're making it up. There is nothing there because they can't visibly see anything. They say, oh, she's just doing it for attention seeking, right? So, because of these stigma or this taboo attached to mental health, what happens is the person starts to feel reluctant to even seek help, right? They don't want to be rejected or dejected by people. They don't want to be ridiculed by anybody, right? And what happens is when they don't seek help, the condition may further get even worsened. So this is,
Absolutely.
and yeah. So when somebody actually make an effort, come out and open, like the celebrities or maybe any random person who has that courage to come out and say, yes, I need help. I am suffering from something. I can't make sense of it. So let me get help. I think it's a courageous act in itself.
Thanks, Rachna. I think it definitely asks for courage, but
Yeah,
slowly and gradually, the important thing here is that the stigma attached to having challenges with your mind should be done away with. It should be
yes,
treated as any other illness, any other disease, any other ailment, which is treatable,
absolutely.
right? As we say that whenever we are ill, what we need more is some kind words. And I
Mhm.
think this can definitely not be wrong, and this will be more needed when it comes to a challenge with your mind, because that's what the person who's suffering needs the most. Yeah. A lending ear, patient listening, some sweet and nice confident words, encouragement. Yeah. Okay. So we have a quick question here, Rachna, Shajil. I think I'll ask you first this question. Veena, we asks, how can we identify whether we are facing depression or not? So if you could just throw
Okay.
some light on it with a few inputs, and then we'll move on to Rachna Bedi to hear her views as well.
Right. Thank you so much for the question, Veena. Specifically, if we are concerned about depression, how do you identify that whether you're depressed or not? The warning signs for depression is somebody suffering from, let's say, somebody who has been always Someone may not be an extrovert, maybe an introvert who likes to go out, meet people, but suddenly you just don't want to meet anybody anymore. Even you don't keep up with your family members that well. You're not able to do your daily chores, which you have been doing all this while. You don't have that energy. You feel chronic fatigue. There are sleep disturbances, change in your appetite, mood. Social withdrawal is one. You're not able to concentrate. You have unexplained emotions wherein you don't know what it means to you, but you just feel like crying, without any reason, without any specific stressful situation that you're facing. These are telltale signs, I would say, for depression specifically. Or if it's an extreme level, let's see, depression can be mild, moderate, severe as well. We
Yeah.
call it severe when you have suicidal ideation as well, wherein you feel so hopeless and worthless and maybe helpless about yourself. You get into this cycle of self defeating thoughts. You blame yourself for everything. You feel guilty about, being even alive. That is the telltale sign, I would say, that the person is suffering from depression. They should seek help. Absolutely.
Thanks, Rachna. I think very nicely put in. uh, जब भी एक नॉर्मल बिहेवियर पैटर्न से कोई भी इंसान सडनली उसका उल्टा करना शुरू कर दे, so there is something to watch out for. मतलब कुछ तो definitely is happening with that person which is not helping the person continue with the life as usual. Okay, Rachna Bedi, I have another question to you which has come in, and I think let's address that first. Ekta says many talks are done on physical health, but awareness on mental well being lacks. And we see specifically kids a victim of depression too. How do we, I'm adding on Ekta here, how do we identify that a child is undergoing depression and how do we deal with it? Maybe as parents or as elder siblings or as friends, anything.
Yes, that's a lovely question, Ekta, and very relevant in today's times. This morning only, I heard of a child committing suicide and a brilliant child, by the way, very brilliant child who committed suicide for not being able to perform according to her expectations. As parents, firstly, we need to set our uh, expectations very very clear. Obviously we cannot tell them that you don't work hard, we cannot tell them that don't stretch yourself, but we have to make it very clear that your health is a top priority. Your studies, your career, your planning, your goals, everything is important, but it cannot be at the compromise of your health. And also we need to tell them that you're in your hands. It is only possible to work on your objectives, your goals. Your focus should not be on the results. um, and what signs, if you talk of the signs, Rachna has already spoken about some signs, like a child behaves a little differently, is
Mhm.
not his or her usual self. So what we as parents can do is we can have some more networking bonding with between the family, so that we can identify those signs. If a child is studying, he or she can't study 24 hours a day. So there can be some time offs wherein we host a family party, we go out and we network, or we encourage them to party with their friends, so that they can identify, we can identify, siblings can identify that the child is not the usual self.
Okay, I think, yeah, Rachna Shajil, you can add and then I'll add my point.
Yeah, and just to add, because child, you specifically mentioned signs, I can say a few of them to watch out for, especially to see whether the child is depressed or not. They may not really look as if they're sitting in one place in the corner of your room and sitting in the dark. No, the child can actually come back quite loud. They can be angry, anger outbursts. They can lash
Hmm.
out any minute. The irritability, restlessness. These are few signs which are can be seen, specifically when it comes to children.
Yeah.
They may not be suicidal, but the anger is way too much, something which was not there. They are just
Hmm.
irritated to the core. They don't want to socialize at all. They prefer
Hmm.
being isolated. They don't want to even spend time with family as well. So these are few things I wanted to add. Thank you, Monica. Over to you.
Absolutely. I think both of you have covered almost everything that a child can reflect while undergoing the depression pangs. And specifically in children education, definitely the pressure of education and getting good marks is a big, I would say, big contributor to creating depression, because at times, not even thinking about it, we as parents create that kind of thing in their mind that you have to succeed. It is a competitive word and you have to compete with the crocodile sitting outside, and act like them or you will be eaten. Yeah, so the child gets confused. What should he do? Because on one side we are telling them, be nice, have gratitude, be patient, don't be too fast. But on the other side we are saying that run, don't sit, you're wasting time, be loud, talk about it, be confident. We are ourselves giving them confusing signs. I could just remember this last movie, or either one of the movies of Sushant Rajput, wherein his son commits suicide because he could, tries to commit suicide because he could not clear the entrance exam of engineering, right? And then Sushant talks to him about his college days and what was it all about and blah blah. So he then explains it to him while the child is in the hospital, that enjoying the journey is more important rather than achieving the objective. Okay, so guys, as parents, I think it's a big responsibility that all of us have, right? Whether as parents, or even if we see something not going right with our kids friends, I think it is a responsibility that all of us should pick it up. So there are a couple
Yes.
of more questions which have come in before we move on to our discussion. A question for Rachna. Shajil: why do individuals shy away from identifying and accepting the symptoms of depression?
Uh, I would say maybe because one, lack of awareness. They feel that there is a thin line when we say that you're sad and you're feeling
Hmm.
depressed. That's one
Yeah.
thing they should everybody should understand. See, we all feel sad, okay, over at any given situation. We feel sad, we sit with sadness for some time, and then we get over with it, right? We still get on with our lives, whatever roles we need to perform, we do that. But when a person is depressed, no matter how hard that person tries, and like I said, it can be a mild depression, moderate depression, severe depression. If it's a mild depression, maybe the person is okay to move on, as in they are good to go with their daily chores, whatever they want to do. But yet, there are times there is a visible thing to look out for. The sleep, they may suffer from insomnia without any reason. They don't know why they are awake, right? Or why is it that either they're overeating, they are binge eating probably, or they're just not eating at all. These small little pattern changes in behavior is something they feel that, maybe because something has gone wrong is why I am be doing so and so. My thing, I would say, to watch out for, if anything you feel, any symptom, even if it is anxiety, depression, let's not just discuss depression here, but let's say any symptom you feel, it's significantly interfering in your daily functioning, that is the telltale sign to really seek help. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think as human beings, we should not run away from seeking help, right? बचपन से हम सबको यही सिखाया गया है ना, हेल्प ईच अदर. अब हेल्प ईच अदर के साथ आई थिंक हम सब ये भूल गए कि आस्क फॉर हेल्प ऑल्सो इज ऑल्सो इम्पोर्टेंट, राइट? Okay, thanks, Rachna Shajil. I think you've answered that question. Another question which is there, Rachna Bedi, I would want you to pick it up. Uh, we have overcome COVID, but it left a long shadow. Many of us have seen that there is more anxiety, anger, fear, restlessness, and definitely there is a greater role for psychiatrists and counseling and coaching, etc. So how do you see this, and do you see a change in the pattern post COVID?
Yes, definitely. You're very right in pointing this out that the pandemic has really, really changed a whole lot of things for us, especially, our children. We still manage to cope better, but the younger lot has gone into a phase where it's very difficult for them to, realize that it's getting over now, it's nearly over, and life needs to come back on track.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we need to be appreciative of their small efforts. Like for instance, their full day school was not operational, so now
Yes.
when they start full day activities, they feel tired. They come home like totally spent.
Yeah.
So we can't complain that what is wrong with you. Why aren't you doing this after this? What about your tuitions after school? What about your football classes after school? We have to give some time. Obviously it's taken a toll, it'll take some time to get back. So we need to give some relaxation to kids. Maybe we need to do some activities with them which suits their minds, and we need to comfort them that there was a problem which is getting over, and it's not that the problem cannot come back again, this or some other. It's just a resilience that we need to develop. So maybe this can be a nice way to strengthen resilience in children. Tell them that this was a wave that came, and now
I know.
now we need to get back.
Absolutely. And I think this is something which is very true for us elders also. I can tell you
Yes.
my example. It's been 2 years that we did not go to office, and now suddenly when office started, is like, my God, how would we
Yeah.
really stay in the office for 8 hours or 9 hours and then add 2 hours of travel? It was giving me nightmares.
Mm.
But yes, when you go to office, you start getting into that stream. Takes a little time, but yes, patience is something which is very, very critical. Ekta, thank you. Yeah, Chichore was the question movie. Ekta states that parents never share the failure stories, which is absolutely true and is one of the cause in creating that kind of stress in the kids specifically. That we as parents always want to tell them the best. We don't want to. We don't hide the negatives completely. We hide the failure stories. We tell them that let's say there is you talk about a Virat Kohli. Okay, so there is a Virat Kohli, and we tell them about the Virat Kohlis and the Sachin Tendulkars of the world, but we do not tell them that there are at least 1,000 more kids who would have been practicing cricket who could not make it to the national team, right? Behind
And
one
he was very
successful person, there are many more
sorry
people.
for cutting you.
Yes, no, no, that's all right.
I
Yes,
just got
Rachna,
a
you were
little
saying something.
emotional about the whole topic.
Yeah,
You're saying that Virat Kohli's and Sachin Tendulkar's, even let's say them as a winners, they have also failed tremendous number of times, to
absolutely.
be at that
Yes,
level that they are.
yes,
So,
right. And
yeah, you're
it's
right. You're
very
so right.
easy to write them down. Very easy to write them down when they fail. But the kids or anybody for that matter, I'm not
Mm.
talking about kids. I think we elders also need to pick that lesson, that the failure still has gone through, the person has gone through the same effort, same hard work. Even then, he or she got that failure, right? That does not undermines the person's capability or the competency or the efforts that he would have put in. It's just that a little more was needed and he or she could have succeeded. Okay, so Karthik Baba. Okay, so Karthik has a point. Just a thought. How is mindfulness? I think Rachna Bedi, you can pick up this question. How is mindfulness practiced? Is it just an awareness of living in the moment or something more?
It's primarily living in the moment, but also a lot more.
Mhm.
Mindfulness would mean being very, very aware of every small little thing. For instance, you're eating your food. Sometimes you don't really, you eat and you just know that what you're eating. You don't really savor the taste. You don't really, think about what you're eating. You don't really think of what all ingredients could have gone into it. For instance, simple things like breathing, which is an automatic activity happening. So mindfulness means that you're very aware of whatever is happening, and that increases your self-awareness. That's a beautiful way of living, being very, very aware of what's happening around you, within you.
Yeah.
And each and every activity that you do is, you're very watchful of that. You're aware, basically.
Okay.
I
So
think
that means
Rachna
basically
also
what you're
wants to
trying
add.
to say is let's enhance the awareness, right?
Yes.
And be aware of what's happening around. So, for example, when we step out on the road, we generally tend to hear the traffic. We forget
Yes.
about or we miss the chirping birds because they
Yes.
probably would be a minority at that point in time. Yes, Rachna, Shajil, you wanted to add to this point.
Yes, I actually want to give a different view to mindfulness, specifically
Hmm.
like Rachna Bedi rightly said that we are not fully aware even whilst we are having food. It's like an activity. You chew something
Hmm.
and that's about it. You don't really realize what is the taste. What I would say it's most of us, if you look at it, even when we are driving back home, let's say you're coming back from office and you're coming back home, you do sometimes you don't even realize that you have actually covered these 2 kilometers or 3 kilometers already. That is our
Yeah.
body being on an autopilot mode. We call it autopilot
Correct.
mode. It's like
Yep.
you don't really consciously decide, okay, I'm going to take this route today. Let's not take the other route or the usual mundane thing you do in a day. So, mindfulness is actually a technique which helps you to ditch your autopilot mode. Consciously, you decide that I would stay here and now. You focus on your breathing. You embrace the emotions which you're feeling in the moment. In the present moment, you ask yourself, what is it that I'm feeling right now? That is how you pay attention to being in present. You consciously decided, okay, even if my mind starts to wander, let's say there's so many things in the back of my mind, oh, I need to get this done, I need to get that done. So when you practice mindfulness, you're more able to consciously bring your wandering mind back to the present moment. And I think this is one practice, mindfulness everyone should do.
Live in present. Very simply, if I put it, live in present, embrace the present, and realize and understand what's happening around you and with you. Okay.
Within you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Rachna's. All right. So there's another question from Deepthi, which is being extremely superstitious and suspicious of others a sign of depression? How can one talk with such a person as she might not trust you even when you suggest counseling? Deepthi, before putting this question to the experts here, I would add one point here. See, when you say superstitious and suspicious of others, there could be many other parameters and reasons because of which the person is doing so. Uh, in my understanding, this is a personal opinion. I'll open this question to the Rachnas also. But being superstitious is not really a sign of uh, an anxiety or a depression or any other thing. So, but yes, let's hear Rachna Bedi. What will you say about this question?
Absolutely right,
Is
Monica.
hmm,
Yeah, what you said is absolutely right. Being superstitious is, a habit or a mindset that you adopt. It's not to do with your mental ailment or any sign of depression or anxiety, as far as I would know. But superstition is like you how you buy in some thought. Like if you
yeah,
feel that this is the truth, then you
hmm,
adapt that truth into your life. Like how we all have belief systems. So if you
Yes,
believe
the
in
we
something, yeah,
have
the faith,
faiths and
that
religions that
becomes
we
the
follow.
reality for us.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's a different reality for everybody.
All right. Rachna, Shajil, what will you want to add your two
Uh,
cents here?
yes, yes, absolutely. See, specifically when you speak of being superstitious, or when you say that somebody does not trust, I think that's what these were the two words this person
Yeah.
has asked.
Hmm.
I would say there is, I'm not going to diagnose a person right here, but this,
Hmm.
if a person is not trusting anybody at all, they doubt every person, be it they doubt their, they feel that, okay, this person is just conspiring to maybe harm me or something. If they believe or they doubt every single thing which happens around them, maybe their own family members, they find that we call it actually delusion or persecution in our term wise. It's actually a sign of paranoia if it's to that extent. And like you rightly said, it's not correct to diagnose a person with just on the basis of
Yeah.
two things. And but it's not a sign of depression. Yes, agreed. But it can be a sign of many other issues as well. So I don't think it should be ruled out by just saying it's a belief system only.
No,
It can be a
superstition. Okay, superstition can be a belief system. I would agree on that. Suspicious, no. Suspicious will not be a belief system. But these are just two things that we've been told. So it will be difficult on this platform to really diagnose and say that what could be a challenge, because there are many things which are going on in our lives which contribute to creating that kind of a scenario.
absolutely.
Okay. So I my recommendation here to Deepthi would be that maybe this particular detail of this person can be discussed with any of our experts in person if you want, and that can be taken care of. Okay. Anjali Agarwal asks a question which is very women oriented. Why are women more likely to get depression? My 1 cent on this would be, before it goes to Rachna's, is because we want to be superhuman beings. Okay, so let's hear Rachna Shajil.
Okay. Thank you so much, Anjali Agarwal, for your question. And I would not say that any mental health condition is gender biased. But yes, since you've brought it up, it's actually true that depression, if you look at it, it's more prevalent when it comes to women. And why that is the case, I agree with you, Monica. We are trying to be superheroes, wherein we want to live up to everybody's expectation. And in doing so, we neglect our own personal self care. I think most
Hmm.
of us do that because there's so much which you want to do for your children, for your family. You want to be a good daughter, mother, wife, everything. By the end of the day, you're so worked up and tired. There's a very little time left for you to spend it on yourself. You don't
Yeah,
even check on yourself whether you're doing well or not. So maybe because of that, I can say the women are maybe suffering from depression more compared to men. Um, that's all I can say.
Rachna Bedi. Any input on that?
I totally agree with that. And though statistically, I do not know if it is more in women or in men, depression. Also, I feel women are more expressive. So if they have some kind of discomfort or some mood changes, they are more open to talking about it than men. I have seen men not being very open about expressing their emotions, whereas women are more open. Just a normal comparison, not like a.
Sure, sure. I think that could be true, but at times there is a situation wherein women are known to be bottling up the emotions also.
Hmm,
We continue to suffer, or we continue to be in a situation because we can't talk to anybody, and we resort to crying.
hmm,
That's like the easiest went out that lot of women have. And for men, the easy resorts are generally drinking or smoking,
Or
or
aggression.
aggression. So these are the signs that you need to pick up. That's what we can say. But yes, depression is something which is there everywhere. The intensities might vary.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Ekta asks a question. Are there any preventive health checkups for our mental and emotional health like we have for our physical health? Very, very important and pertinent question. In case there is, please provide the details. I'm sure most of us would want to go for it. Rachna Bedi, do you have something which you can suggest?
So, checkups, I wouldn't. I'm at a loss at this. I do not know if there are preventive checkups. There are certainly checkups for diagnostic, like if you want to check whether you have ADHD or a
Hmm.
depression or any. Then there are checkups to check that. But that you would obviously approach a uh, healthcare professional only if you suspect that there is something. So to
Okay.
prevent, I doubt if there is something. I am not sure. I
Okay.
am not the right person for that.
Okay.
But certainly, we on our own can do things that can prevent such things. Such ailments, such diagnosis. On our own level, we can do. We can take some measures to prevent certain things. But as preventive checks, I'm not sure if there is something like
Okay.
that.
No issues. Rachna Shajil, would you have some input on that?
Yes, please. When you say preventive checkups, I would say you can start with a small little thing like how do you talk to yourself? It's we call it narratives. It's like anything that goes on around you, be it a stressful situation or a small little thing that ticks you off. You need to take a pause in that moment and really ask yourself, what am I
Hmm.
thinking in the moment? How am I talking to myself? Whether it's a positive self talk or whether am I the one who's beating myself down? Right?
Mm-hmm.
In a way, I can give you an example. Let's say your friend comes to you and she says that, you know what, I've made a mistake. I feel so guilty and I feel so sorry. And she's really, really upset about it. So when we need to give advice to someone else, we say, it's okay, mistake happens. It's okay, move on. You encourage them to forgive themselves. Maybe you tell them that, maybe you do better in future. But when it comes to our own selves, are we really taking care of ourselves? Why is it so difficult when it comes to our own self? We don't really give this piece of advice to ourselves that it's okay, you've made a mistake, you can pick it up from here, you can do better. Forgive yourself. Start from the forgiveness. You can't expect somebody else to forgive you unless and until you forgive yourself. And
Okay, so
just
I
to add,
think we can circle it back to what Rachna Bedi said. Uh, be aware, right?
yes,
Because
yes.
when you say narratives, if you're aware of what you are doing and how you're behaving and what you're talking and are you, how you're behaving with yourself first, you will be able to judge and understand is everything all right. But this is more of a self check. So what I understand from both of you is that when it comes to medical checkup, we still do not have too many checkups or options available, right? So that's something that probably the team out there might be listening to and want to include or initiate something on that.
And no, I want to add here, if you're
Sure.
talking medically, I mean,
Hmm.
I would say science that way. There are studies which shows that there is a chemical imbalance in your brain, which can actually visibly you can see it in fMRIs, which say that okay, this level of dopamine or serotonin is gone down. That can lead to depression. There is no very specific that okay, this is your medical checkup, and this means that you have depression or you have anxiety. No, but there are a lot of assessment tools which we work with. Like Rashna Bedi rightly said, to check ADHD, whether it's a learning disability, whether it's a psychological distress that the person is going through. In fact, I can give you one example of there's something called psychosomatic. Psychosomatic means the stress is actually psychological, but you feel pain in your body. And when you go and see a doctor, they'll do all kind of medical checkups. Okay, whether let's say I am a person who's suffering from a foot pain. I go to a doctor, maybe a podiatric, and I say, can you please check, my foot pain is way too much and it's been there for 5 6 months. He would do every possible thing, whether it's a neuropathy or whatever that requires. And when it does not come on medical reports, like I said, he may actually tell you that maybe it's not something physical, it is a functional disorder. We call it a conversion disorder. So that is how you see, even when we need to diagnose someone, we rule out these specific things. What is it that is causing it? Is it organic or is it something to do with psychological issue? So these are the signs.
I understand what you're saying, but ultimately, what I realize is that there is nothing called a preventive check. Whatever that you specified are more of diagnostic tests,
Yes,
right?
yes,
So you need to first realize that there is a need to go for these tests. The way the hospitals have these physical health checkup plans, there is no such mental health checkup plan which is still available.
right.
I might be wrong, and I would love to be wrong in case it's something which is there. But so far as I understand, and my guests also understand, we don't have a preventive health checkup plan for mental well being. Okay, and ladies, just quick inputs, and some comments that we are receiving. Everybody is loving what you are specifying, and they are very happy and thankful to you for the insights. They find the points that you've expressed very, very valid and relevant. Yes, absolutely. Understand that women are told to suffer it because it's their married life now, and they have to live and die through it. It's like the basic thing which has been continuing. Okay, so we have a question here which is there. Sonali Kalra asks us, can initial psychometric test be counted as a preventive health checkup? So, Sonali, being an HR professional here, when you talk about the HR psychometric tests, they are more to assess the competencies or the skills or the person's requirement in terms of the mental abilities for particular jobs. So, psychometric tests, if they are done in the corporate world from an HR perspective, they cannot be used as a mental health checkup plan. Uh, so, I would make this question open to both of you, Rachna Bedi and Rachna Shajil, whosoever wants to pick it up first, in case there is any other psychometric test that you're aware of which can help give us an idea in terms of what is the measurement. Yeah.
Okay, like I mentioned, assessment tools which we speak of, they are psychometric tests as well. Let's say a simple example of a personality test, which I'm sure even it has been used at workplaces as well. When
Yeah.
we assess a personality, especially when you're assessing, you do come out with, okay, so and so person is this kind of a personality. They can be a preventive, not a preventive measures, but they can actually give you an insight. Okay, this particular thing relates to maybe a personality disorder. Maybe there are so many disorders, maybe cluster A, B, C. So that's just a, what do you call that? Just a slight hint that, okay, maybe there is something wrong in here that can be worked out. I don't know whether you call it as a preventive health checkup or medical checkup.
I
Hmm.
still would say they can't be called as a preventive health checkup, because in even if a person feels that okay, this could be, there is a slight chance that it could be a medical disorder, a person will still not go see a mental psychologist or a psychiatrist to work on that.
I
um,
agree.
so it just boils down to the same.
And also,
Level.
one more thing about the psychometric tests, Rachna, that I will add here is because I have administered many of these tests myself, going back to many, many years now. Uh, Most of these tests are, in fact, any of the tests that you give is taken by the CI on a time basis. So, what's going on in my mind at that point in time is something that will reflect in the test result, which might or might not be very, very true of my overall personality. I probably am taking that test after having a huge fight with my friend, and everything that I will answer in that test would undergo a change, right? In the corporate world, we do these employee surveys, the results that we get are absolutely in tune with what has recently happened with the employees.
Right.
Okay. So if they have heard good news from the organization, everything will go perfect and you'll get the best score. And in the recent past, in case there have been some retrenchments or some changes, then people would feel that everything in that this organization is bad, right? So these are very time specific tests. And I think one test result, even if it gives you some kind of an idea that the person's result is not really up to the mark, it still cannot be used as the final tool. There has to be some more tests attached to it which need to be done to really say that yes, there is a challenge that this person is facing. And then he or she should go to the right and appropriate person, whether it is a psychiatrist or a psychiatrist. Okay. All right. So moving on to one more question. Emotional breakdown can sometimes be misunderstood with depression. How can we differentiate between two? Quite an interesting question because it keeps happening on a regular basis with specifically the young generation. Rachna Bedi, you having two kids, two teenage kids. Let's hear it from you first.
Yes, I experience the emotional breakdown quite often. So
Hmm.
emotional breakdown is not it's something that some incidents happens, and you emotionally there is an overwhelm created. So this is not like a ailment. Depression on the other hand is like an ailment, but how you differentiate is, if there is an emotional breakdown, obviously you would feel low at that time, you will feel unhappy, but after that, after some time, let's say some time can vary bit for different people, you come out of it, and later on when you talk about it, it is not, you when you talk about that same instance, it does not bring you overwhelm or sadness. It just becomes a thing of the past.
Correct.
No, it is something that
Right.
happened. Whereas
Yep.
depression, you are going through those feelings of depressive feelings again and again on an everyday basis, and it's hampering your everyday work, like Rachna said. So that's the basic difference. We can't stop having emotional breakdowns, but we when we talk about it later on, we don't have resentment anymore. Then we come out of it.
And just
Absolutely.
to
Because
add
the
what, yeah.
yes, Chajil.
Okay, just wanted to add here because I've heard depression word quite a lot in this session itself, and everything is related to depression. Whether we're calling about superstition, whether we're calling out for emotional breakdowns, fine, or we're calling about suspicion as well. One thing I want to say, and I request everybody: people use the word depression as if we say, take a chill pill. So people say, "Ha, isko mood kharab hai, to depression hi hoga." First of all, be aware what exactly depression is. Not anything and everything you think going wrong is depression, right? So I think there is a thin line when we say emotional breakdown and calling a person being depressed, right? Emotional breakdown, like Rashna Bedi very rightly said, it can be an overwhelming feeling of which you have felt in the given moment and you come out of it, right? And when you say depression, it has got so many things attached to depression. It's not just about being emotionally unstable or feeling too much of emotions in one go. It is about feeling hopelessness about life. It is about feeling worthlessness, feeling worthless about your own self. You don't want to continue living. You are not able to actually bring yourself out of the room sometimes, out of the bed sometimes. You don't take care of yourself. You even miss out in taking care for your children. You don't want to do it, but the condition is so debilitating that you just don't know what else to do. That is something more of depression, we would call just a small emotional breakdown, or, maybe I am just irritable today. It would not suffice to be, you won't call it as depression. That's it.
Absolutely. I think, Rachna, you mentioned it very clearly. Depression is something which is like a continuation of certain behavior pattern, which I think both of you had mentioned during the conversation, that which is impacting your regular life, right?
Yes,
And if the behavior continues and there is no substantial change which is visible to the family around, then there is a definitely a need to go to the right kind of help. Okay. And
absolutely.
what you mentioned about not looking after yourself or not coming out of the bed, I would feel and want to believe that these are the signs of chronic depression and not really the early signs of depression. Otherwise, it will be huge. Yeah. Okay. So before we go on to further questions, let me hear it from Rachna Bedi. We've been hearing about what is being depressed. How do you understand the signs of depression? All this is fine, but can we get some tips or some interesting insights that you can share which can help prevent all these things coming our way, which can keep the mind and the soul comfortable, happy, and smiling all the time, with the two dimples on both the sides?
So there's lots one can do. Uh,
Hmm.
so one thing I would say is, whatever you do, try and make it a routine, so that you don't do it one-off days. So that whenever you're feeling a little down or slightly depressed, then obviously you would not want to do those things. You would know that those things will make you feel better, but you will
Mm,
not want to do those things. So make it a routine. So on an everyday basis, do some exercise. uh, I understand not everybody could be a sports freak or would want to go to the gym or something, but find something. Yeah, me neither. Find something that interests you. Yeah, so like if dance interests me, I would take up some dance classes. At least
yep.
that would get some action. Or simple walks. Walks everybody can do. You listen to a podcast and start walking. Do something. So exercise is something that would benefit your body and mind as well. That is a sure thing to do. You can also do some very simple things like smile more often, laugh more often. You could just connect to people who are very positive, and that also, yeah, just smile more often. It's a very simple thing, but has great benefits. And also, when I say talk to people who are who
Positive.
bring positivity to you, it also brings me to another point, that socialize more often, connect with people, go out, party, or network with friends, or just sit and have coffee with friends. So a little bit of socializing and networking and taking time off from your routine and spending that time with people who bring cheer to you, people who care for you, that also uplifts you tremendously. One thing that I strongly always recommend is yoga. Yoga is not necessarily something very difficult that all of us can't do. There are some very simple pranayams. There are some simple, asanas that can be done on a daily basis. Simple breath work, simple asanas, simple, or maybe just like a Surya Namaskar or something that you can do. There are a lot of kriyas that can be done. So you can make some little routine from, you know, our ancient yoga and practice it on an everyday basis. That's not so difficult. It sounds difficult, but it is not. And also, I every day meditate on a daily basis, so I would strongly suggest meditation. There are various types of meditations. You can go on from 5 minutes to an hour, whatever suits your routine and the habit. And slowly, when you start meditating, a lot of people I hear, they say that they can't meditate. uh, but it's not that. Once you get into the routine, once you start meditating nicely for 5 minutes, you can easily keep going up. So it's just a matter of practice, and also realizing what kind of meditation works for you. So that certainly helps. What else? Uh, I think mainly these: exercising, yoga, meditation.
Okay, so before we go to Shajil to add her 2 cents, which I'm sure she would want to, first point which you mentioned, Rachna Bedi, was that whatever that makes you happy, make it a habit. Okay, when wore this sari today, it definitely made me happy. But I can tell you on the public fora, I am not going to wear sari every day, guys. Sorry, can't do that. Okay, that's one. Second, you said that have coffee with friends. Yeah, having coffee with you would be very expensive. I cannot fly to Bombay or I cannot go to Trivandrum. I'm so sorry, ladies. So we'll have to find some other way.
No, we
Virtual.
Okay,
can do it right here. No, virtually.
virtual coffee.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, let's go to Shajil now. Yes, Shajil, your 2 cents.
Okay. Yes, I am very much, in accord with what Rachna Bedi has just put it up. But just to add my 2 cents, like you said, one, when she says that you should look good, take care of yourself, I would say there's one thing which actually I was watching a video the other day. I don't remember whose video was that, but he made a very valid point by saying that you should spend at least 5 minutes of your time every day to just go inward. It's not about just meeting people or trying to find time with people, it is finding time for yourself. Sit in a place which is quiet, calm, peaceful. Every day you check on yourself, really asking how am I feeling? How am I doing? This way you are you're self-aware. How exactly are you doing? How are you feeling? How kind can you be when you talk to yourself? Your narrations, how you talk to yourself makes a lot of difference. And another thing which I really want to add here is check on your thoughts, because end of the day, whatever you think, the story which you tell about a situation or a person, that is what makes you feel and behave in a certain way. I can give you a very short small example here. Let's say you've gone to a mall. Okay, you spotted, I'll say, okay, let's make it a little funny here. I went to a mall, I spotted Monica. I know that she's seen me. Okay, I could see, okay, she spotted me, but then what she does is she looks at me and she ignores and then she walks off. Now if I were to just think from that perspective, as in my mind instantly told me, okay, see, look at her, she saw me, maybe I'm unimportant, maybe she doesn't give a damn about me, she's just walked off. That is my meaning of a situation which I gave, which eventually made me feel bad about myself. And eventually my behavior would be, I may even tell myself that next time if I see her, even I'll ignore her, right?
Hmm.
So
Yep.
the technique is to watch out what you're thinking. Take that pause right there and ask yourself, whatever I'm thinking, is it hurting me or is it helping me? If it's hurting me, can I look for an alternative here? What if that maybe what I'm thinking, I mean, you have to dispute and challenge your own thoughts. Where is the evidence that says that Monica deliberately ignored me? Maybe she was really rushing up. Maybe she didn't really see me. This is my assumption. So you challenge your thoughts, right? Change the narration right there and tell yourself that maybe there is a room, that there can be something else that has happened in the background. When you do that, it actually makes you feel better about yourself. Maybe your feelings about that situation would change. You will say that, okay, it's okay. Next time when I see her, maybe I'll say hi to her first. Or maybe, what if she is going through something so and so. What I mean to say is, when you watch out what you're thinking, what you're telling yourself in the moment, it really helps you, get better, feel better, behave better.
Very simply here, in case something of this sort happens with me, I'll just pick up the phone and call that person that, hey,
Yeah,
I was right there. What happened?
absolutely.
Or probably the person might have forgotten her glasses. No, she couldn't. She could be farsighted. Yeah.
Anything is possible.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. And on this answer, we get a comment: wonderful, hurt, or make you happy. So yeah, I choose
Yeah,
to be happy.
yeah.
Okay. So how to overcome the hurdle? I know this particular action is required, like doing yoga, going for a walk. This is a question to you, Rachna Bedi, and you've actually answered this question already by saying that small steps are really important, which is exercising, meditation, or picking up a hobby. All right, I think it's working well. So now we've told people, this is what you can do, or this is how you identify the signs, or we've also helped them understand. I hope we've helped them. We've tried to help them understand that what can they do in certain situations. Now let's make it a little personal. Okay. For me, what works well is spending time with young children. That makes me happy, that makes me laugh. When I go downstairs to probably just take a stroll, I just stand with kids of, let's say, 4 years, 5 years, at max 6 years, because this is the age which I find to be absolutely innocent. And they'll talk about, Monica auntie, this is what we did, Monica auntie, this is what I'm doing, I'm going to buy a cycle. And we will laugh at it and we'll talk about it, and I'm done with whatever happened during the day, and comfortable. So, hearing from you, Rachna, Bedi, you gave us some interesting tips in terms of what can people do to be comfortable and stay away from the mental issues and the anxieties. And Rachna, Shajil, I'm sorry, I'm using the word again, depression. Okay. So what is it that helped you? As I understand, you've also picked up these things in the last few years, right? You've not been practicing all these things throughout your life, because what I know of you, you were not into it 24 years back. Ladies, I'm not talking about Rachna's age. Huh? Okay, so yes, Rachna Bedi, what works for you? What do you do, and how do you spend your day specifically on these topics?
Okay, so as I said, one very important thing is make it a daily habit, because it's not that I'm trying to say these things. I force myself to make it a daily routine for me, and it works well. See, you need not do 1 hour of meditation every day. If you buy the idea of meditating, you need not
Hmm.
have the time every day to meditate for an hour. Just do it for
Hmm.
5 minutes.
Hmm.
So I meditate sometimes for 5 minutes, but I meditate every day. I listen to some spiritual chants every day, because now for that I just put on some spiritual chants in the morning, the first thing I get up. I just tell Alexa, play this, and I start doing my work. Now the whole vibration of the, your moods, your morning just changes. I personally believe a lot in those. And if I can sit and chant, I also sit and chant, but sometimes I don't get the time to do it. But I make sure either I'm doing it for 2 minutes, 1 minute, or listening to it, or somewhere connected to it. So
Yep.
that's, like ticked for me. Another thing that I do is I've made a list of some 20 things that I love to do. That's very, very
Wow.
specific to me. And I've written it down in my notepad, which lies on my bedside table. And once in a while, when I get some free time, I flip through it and I read through it. And some of the things are things that when I told my children, they were surprised. Oh, is it? You like to do this? Like I'd written, I like to be in the pool. So my kids were surprised. You don't even swim. How could you like to be in the pool? I mean, we thought you were very averse to water. They thought otherwise. So they were like, this is not you. I said, no, but I like it. So sometimes you do not do things that you yourself like. So once in a while I flip through that and I decide that, okay, today or maybe tomorrow I'm going to do one of these things just to make myself happy. And I make sure I do that. So that's
Yeah, this
one
is a
thing.
very, very great tip. I'm interrupting you here. This is a
Yeah.
fantastic tip. This is like a call out or a shout out to everybody who's listening to us now or who would listen to this later. Find what you like, find what makes you happy, find what brings a smile on your face, and write it down.
Yes.
Right? It can
Works
be
very well. Works
momentary.
very well.
Just go to that sheet again and again and again, maybe just paste it on the inside of your almirah, and whenever you're getting your clothes out, which women definitely do at least twice or thrice in a day, so just go through it. Choose something for that day which can make you happy. Okay, Bedi, I interrupted you, go for it.
No, no, no worries. And another thing that I do is, and I've told a lot of friends about it, is I love a lot of music, so I have made a personal playlist of my favorite songs, which really pep me up. So whenever
Hmm.
I'm doing something like maybe running around for children and or cooking in the kitchen, I just make sure that it's playing in the background. So I don't have to select, some songs that would pep me up. The playlist is already created. I just switch it on. So
Fantastic.
it really works beautifully for me. Even
Yeah,
before this session,
absolutely.
I listened to the whole playlist today. So
Fantastic. So do you change that playlist or is it like a fixed
no, I
one?
keep adding on to it, but it
Hmm.
remains. So the list
Fantastic.
keeps
So
being
guys, there
built.
are many apps available on your mobiles. Pick it up and make your playlists if you are into music. Okay, what else?
Like I said, a little bit of meditation, little bit of spiritual connect somewhere, and I also like to connect with people. Um,
Hmm.
you know, anyways, either through I host meditations at my place. So a group thing always works better, in the energy world. Anything which is done in a group has better advantage than doing it alone. So I organize a lot of these things, like a lot of women coming to my house. I've been doing it from last 5 years, and we fix a time and a day once a week, and we together meditate. And I teach them how to meditate and just simple
Wow.
things like that.
You're making me, go to the website and quickly fix up tickets for Mumbai.
Come.
Okay. I can add a little bit here is for me, I think reading makes me calm down. I love doing that. Whatever I can get my hands on, I like pick it up.
Yes.
Okay, let's move to Shajil. I'm sure she will have her 4 cents on this. So let's hear her what keeps her happy and smiling and showing her dimples away all the time. What helps her?
Um, okay. Most of the things what Rachna Bedi has mentioned, I'm sorry to say, I do not do any of those. They're very, very helpful, especially when it comes to meditation. I'm worst at it. I mean, of course, I can do my deep breathing exercise that I do, but if you tell me that you have to sit at peace for 5 minutes and you really think about it, no. Mindfulness, I do. Okay,
Okay.
but if you really want to know what works best for me is I take one day at a time. Okay. Even though I'm a person who is always into multitasking, trust me on that.
Mhm.
It's like if my mind is always 24/7 working. Everybody who's known me, they say, Rachna, your mind is always working. But you know what the difference that I've made in my life is when I feel overwhelmed, I actually take that break in that moment. I deliberately and consciously tell myself that you're not going to do A, B, C, D, E unless and until you feel okay about A. Okay, so that is, I have kind of slowed down myself. I am a person who's filled with energy, which is good. I mean, I'm proud of it, but still, sometimes I tell myself consciously to take that break. Okay, you get out of something if it's not working for you. I sit with my emotions. I don't brush them under the carpet. I, acknowledge them. I really try to make sense of it. Why am I feeling? What am I feeling in the moment? That works best for me. I maybe sometimes even write it down like she does. I don't write what are good things about me, but I write everything about me, the bad things, the good things, or whatever works for me, so that I can revisit and see, okay, these are my areas of improvement, and this is something I've been, feeling good about. Works for me. And another thing which I really do good, and I think that has helped me in the for quite some time, I would say, which Monica you should follow, is to ensure a good sleep hygiene. When I say that, it does not just mean that you sleeping 6 to 7 hours in a day. Okay, it is to really keeping your mobile off and away from you. Do not get into this any sort of, it happens. I mean, it has happened with me also. Let's say I'm watching something very interesting on Netflix. Okay, I may actually take time till 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m. But what happens is when you cut down on your sleep, eventually the next day, because your kid has to be You know, the cycle of your daily chores is still there. There's nothing where you can cut on that, right? The child needs milk at this so and so time, the husband has to go to office on so and so time. So what I do is, if I've actually uh, taken a little longer for my Netflix time, I make sure and ensure that I compensate my sleep, but I do get my sleep in a perfect way. Good sleep pattern includes maybe taking a warm bath before you're going off to bed. That really helps. It calms your senses down. You feel relaxed and peaceful. And for me, one more thing that works the best is fragrance. I relate to smell a lot. So anything which is, soothing to my senses, I maybe sometimes spray a little bit of whatever fragrance works for me on my pillow cover, and I sleep peacefully. That is one more thing which I would say as a good sleep hygiene. These two things only.
Fantastic, fantastic. Okay, I think we've covered quite a bit in terms of what can one do to have a comfortable, I would say mental well-being and a healthy lifestyle. The most important thing which comes out of what you both have said is love yourself. Okay, so maybe all of us need to become the puja or the poo of Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum. Okay, love yourself. I'm the best. Look yourself in the mirror and say that I'm the best. I love myself.
Yes,
Okay, live in moment. These are basic things that we have been hearing forever. Okay, very honestly, if I say that what you have told us today is new, I would not be right, because all these things are said. The important thing here is keep reiterating, telling people again and again and again that this is what you should do. And when you tell them, by telling them that this is what I do, I think the impact is far, far more. You know, when you say meditate, meditation is a fantastic tool to calm yourself down, be patient, increase your focus. Very, very helpful for all students and all working professionals, and even homemakers. Everyone out there should be doing it, right? But yes, it is one of the most difficult practices that anyone can do. So do it, as Rachna Bedi said, do it slowly. 1 minute, 2 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Eventually increase the time. And how did I start? I just, my mind is always wavering. I have so many thoughts running away in my mind. At times I feel it's like a battlefield going on, with one thought fighting with the other to have a place. So meditation was a weird, big challenge for me. So for me, it was like, okay, 1 minute, just 1 minute of time, focus on one thought. Okay, so that's how I practiced it. And even now, I'm not really big time there, but yes, trying to do it. And as I said, reading is something which absolutely pacifies me down. Of course, if I'm not reading the thrillers, huh? If I'm reading the thrillers, then it's like energy up, and anybody who comes in between will be thrashed. Okay. In fact, there was this one poem that my son had written on me, stating that if my mother is angry, it's better to get out.
Oh,
So yeah, so all these things are there, guys. Everybody who's listening to us now or would be watching this video later, this is an earnest request and a suggestion from all three of us, that watch out for the basic signs, live in present, be happy. If you think some kind of thought or some situation is bothering you, there is no harm in talking to somebody whom you trust. Whether you
absolutely.
find that person in your family or outside is immaterial. Okay, but find that person, trust that person. And to going to that question wherein somebody said that if the person is not trusting, then I think there is a bigger need to understand the real situation of that person and then look at the diagnosis and the solutions. Everything that we are going through has a solution and a resolution attached to it. This conversation that we have initiated today is a never ending conversation. and we can keep on talking about it, and I'm sure all of you would have variety of questions as you keep listening to us. Rachna Bedi and Rachna Shajil have been fantastic in sharing their inputs. So thank you so much to both my dimpled experts. Yes, Shajil, you definitely want to have your last 2 cents.
Yes. No, it's just a wrapping up quote. I have written a quote, which is my DP as well. And this is something I feel
Okay,
everybody should do. Can I go
let's
ahead?
hear it. Yep, let's hear
Yes.
it.
Though no one can go back and make a brand new start, but anyone and everyone can start from now and make a brand new ending.
This is fantastic, and I think it sums up what we are trying to say. That just realize, you know, whenever you realize that there is a need to seek help, that's the beginning, right?
Absolutely.
Right. So just pick that up, ladies and gentlemen. And on the behalf of Motherhood Club, I would want to say a huge thank you to Rachna Shajil and Rachna Bedi for sparing their time and sharing the wonderful expert opinions and insights about mental well being on this day with all of us. So, on this show, I would just say that keep looking out for many such talk shows in future wherein we will keep bringing to you very relevant and interesting topics and keep bringing to you experts who will be able to give you some insight and give you some help. On the topic of help, as I initially mentioned, do not shy away from asking for help. So, with this, good evening, good night, and goodbye. Have a great evening with your family and loved ones. And keep smiling, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Monica.
much.
Thank you, Rachna.
Thank you, both of you.